Hello everyone, my name's Elspeth. Welcome to the Planeswalker Pantheon, and today we are opening up a Murders at Karlov Manor collector booster box. Let's get into it, shall we? Beautiful artwork of Elspeth right there. And there's our collector boosters. Let's get into the first one, shall we? Got our detective. Oh, we've got our first case file. It's Tolsimir Midnight's Light. 2 green and 2 white for a legendary creature, Elf Scout, 3/2 with lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, you create Volger Fenstalker, a legendary 5/5 green and white wolf creature token with trample. And whenever a wolf you control attacks, if Tolsimir attacked this combat, target creature an opponent controls blocks that wolf this combat if able. Oh, we've also got Massacre Girl, Known Killer, 2 and 2 black for a legendary creature, Human Assassin, 4/4 with menace. Creatures you control have Wither. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, draw a card. We have Knowledge is Power from one of the commander decks. 3 white and blue for enchantment. Creatures you control get +X, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Lost in the Maze, X and 2 blue for an enchantment. Flash. When it enters the battlefield, tap X target creatures, put a stun counter on each of those creatures you don't control. Tap creatures you control have hexproof. Doorkeeper Thrall, 1 and a white for a 1/2 creature Thrall with flash and flying. Artifacts and creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger. And then we've got our uncommons, all pretty island. And our foil commons. Next one up. Pretty Thopter. Ooh, foil full art Undercity Sewers. It's the blue-black Surveil land. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, Surveil 1. Ooh, we've got the green-white one. Same sort of deal. Copy Catchers, 1 and a blue for a creature fairy. It's a 2/1 flying. When you surveil, may pay 1 and a blue. If you do create a token, that's a copy of Copy Catchers. The Cryptex. 2 mana, tap collect Evans 3, add 1 mana of any color, put an unlock counter on the Cryptex. If you sacrifice the Cryptex, you surveil 3, then draw 3 cards. Activate if only if it has 5 or more unlock counters on it. Cryptic Coat, 2 and a blue for an artifact equipment. When it enters the battlefield, cloak the top card of your library, then attach the coat to it. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked, and 1 and a blue to return the coat to its owner's hand. Foil Slice and Shadows, Makeshift Bunning Pretty Forest. I'll put the token in the right spot. Some foil commons and foil uncommons. Also, this mole is adorable. Next one up. Seems like they've heard my complaints that the collector's boosters have been a little bit on the harder to open side. Clue. We have Connecting the Dots in the extended art. 1 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library face down. 1 and a red, discard your hand, sacrifice Connecting the Dots, put all cards exiled with Connecting the Dots into their owner's hands. Niv Mizzet Guild Pack. For the full Wooburg, we get a legendary creature, Dragon Avatar 6/6. Flying, hexproof and multicolored. When it deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target. Target player draws X cards and you gain X life, where X is the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. Armed with Proof, 2 and a white for enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you investigate twice. Clues you control are equipment in addition to their other types, and it says equipped creatures get +2/+0 and equipped 2 from the commander deck. Yes, this is what I like. I need more assassin trophies for my collection. Black and a green for an instant. Destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it into the battlefield, and then shuffle. Vanifar, Evolved Enigma in foil. 2 green and blue for a legendary creature, Elf Ooze Wizard. It's a 3/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Click a card from your hand, or put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. During pre-release, I got absolutely bodied between this card and there's a green-red legendary that I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. But they had both of them in their pool, and it just bodied me. Foil the chases on the Nagel Strength. Pretty planes. Lightning Helix is back in standard, y'all. Secret Tunnel. Foil Slum Against Humanity. That's some good living there. Next one up. Got more clues. Foil, full bleed art, green white surveil land. Azarag's Rampage, 3 and 2 red for a sorcery. Destroy all artifacts you don't control, then exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of artifacts that were put into graveyards from the battlefield this turn. You may put a creature card exiled this way onto the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Hot Pursuit, 1 and a red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, suspect target creature an opponent controls. As long as it remains on the battlefield, that creature is goaded. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more players have lost the game, gain control of all goaded and or suspected creatures until end of turn. Untap them, they gain haste until end of turn. Cool. Pyrotechnic Performer, 1 and a red for a creature, Viashino Assassin, 3/2, disguise for a red. When it or another creature you control is turned face up, that creature deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. War Leader's Call, 1 red and white for enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, War Leader's Call deals 1 damage to each opponent. Then we got some... the Fanatic Scapegoat looks funny in this artwork. Got some Dossier artworks, Pretty Mountain, and some normal uncommons and commons. Next one up. I love the framing for the set. It's just a fun frame. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the guilds of Ravnica and like the sort of the lore behind it, but sometimes you need to do something a little different. Detective. Oh, we got Tristani 3 Whispers in the alt art. So green white hybrid, and white for a legendary creature Dryad, 4/4. 1 and a green to have target creature gain Death Touch. Green or white to have target creature gain Vigilance, or 2 and a white to have target creature gain Double Strike until end of turn. Homicide Investigator, 1 and a black for a creature human detective, 2/2. Whenever 1 or more non-token creatures you control die, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. Investigative skills, impeccable. People skills, lacking. Moshka, Undersea Sleuth, the green, white, and blue for a legendary creature Vidalcan Fish Detective, 2/3. They have no maximum hand size. They give you upkeep, investigate, and when you draw your second card each turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Moshka, Undersea Sleuth. 10th District Hero, 1 and a white for a creature human, 2/3. 1 and white, collect evidence 2. 10th District Hero becomes a human detective with base power and toughness 4/4 and gains vigilance. 2 and a white and collect evidence 4. If 10th District Hero is a detective, it becomes a legendary creature named Milva the Stalwart. Has base power and toughness 5/5, and it gains other creatures you control have indestructible. As much as I love this character, why didn't they just have her as Milva? She was referred to as that in flavor text throughout Ravnica. Why couldn't I just call it that instead of this weird sort of berry? I don't know. Izoni, Center of the Web, 4 black and green, legendary creature, elf detective, 5/4 with menace. When she enters the battlefield or attacks, you may collect evidence 4. If you do, create 2/2/1 black and green spider creature tokens with menace and reach. Sacrifice 4 tokens, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards, and you gain 2 life. Under authorized exit. Deduce, Pretty Island. And normal uncommons and commons in foil. Alright. Next one up. That being said, I do wish that these packs would actually tear down the side like normal. And in the full length. We have a clue. Unyielding Gatekeeper, 1 and a white for a creature elephant cleric. It's a 3/2 with disguise, 1 and a white. When it is turned face up, exile another target non-land permanent. If you controlled it, return to the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, its controller creates a 2/2 white and blue creature detective token. Lazav, Wearer of Faces, blue and a black for a legendary creature shapeshifter detective. It's a 2/3. When Lazav attacks, exile target card from a graveyard, then investigate, and whenever you sacrifice a clue, you may have Lazav become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until end of turn. True Identity, 1 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever True Identity or another permanent you control is turned face up, scry 1, then draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn, and you can disguise it for a single white. Doppelgang, XX, green and a blue for a sorcery. For each of X target permanents, create X tokens that are copies of that permanent. Homicide Investigator, we've read this one before. And then Old Arts, Pretty Plains, and normal uncommons. And commons. Next one up. More clues. Oh, no witnesses. 2 and 2 white for a sorcery. Each player who controls the most creatures investigates, then destroy all creatures. Assemble the players. 1 and a white for an enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Once each turn, you may cast a creature spell with power 2 or less from the top of your library. Detective of the Month, 2 and a blue for a creature human detective. It's a 2/3 with Ascend. As long as you have the city's blessing, detectives you control can't be blocked. When you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. Treacherous Greed, 1 white and black for an instant. As additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature that dealt damage this turn. Draw 3 cards, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Judith Carnage Connoisseur, 3 black and red for a legendary creature human shaman, 3/4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, choose 1. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink. Or create a 2/2 red imp creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Fanatical Strength, Insidious Roots, Pretty Forest, and normal commons and uncommons for the rest of the pack. Alright, next one up. Alright, more clues. Taser Opulent Oligarch, 1 white and black for a legendary creature human advisor, 2/3 Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. And whenever a clue you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. This ability triggers only once each turn. Incinerator of the Guilty, 4 and 2 red for a creature dragon. It's a 6/6 with flying and trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may collect evidence X. When you do, Incinerator deals X damage to each creature and each planeswalker that player controls. Eye of the Duskmantle. Dear God, this artwork is terrifying. 5 and 2 black for a creature Eye. It's a 3/8 with flying and lifelink. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards in your graveyard you've surveilled this turn. If you cast a spell this way, you pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. Connecting the dots, we've read this one once before. Wojek Investigator, 2 and a white for a creature Angel Detective. It's a 2/4 with flying and vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate once for each opponent who has more cards in hand than you. Call a Surprise Witness, Dramatic Accusation, Pretty Swamp, and then normal commons and uncommons. Next one up. We have a clue. Audience with Tristani. 2 and a green for a sorcery. Create an 0/1 green plant creature token, then draw cards equal to the number of differently named creature tokens you control. Underground Mortuary. It's the green-black surveil land in the full art. Prisoner's Dilemma. 3 and 2 red for a sorcery. Each opponent secretly chooses Silence or Snitch. Then the choices are revealed. If each opponent chose Silence, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 4 damage to each of them. If each opponent chooses Snitch, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 8 damage to each of them. Otherwise, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 12 damage to each opponent who chose Silence. You can flash it back for 5 and 2 red. Unyielding Gatekeeper, we read this one just before. Analyze the Pollen. Single green for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may collect evidence 8. Search your library for a basic land card. If evidence was collected, instead search your library for a creature or land card. Reveal that card and put it into your hand and shuffle. And Dramatic Accusation. On the Job. Pretty Mountain. And then foil commons and uncommons for the rest of the pack. 3 more packs of this collector's box. More clues. Eloquus Proft Master Sleuth. Oh, this is the, I literally just touched it. It's got the invisible ink. I don't think it's going to show in the thing, but I just felt it on the touch. 1 white and blue for a legendary creature. Human Detective. 3 with Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, investigate. And for X white and 2 blue, tap, sacrifice a clue. You draw X cards and you gain X life. I don't think it's going to show. But maybe if I, like, get the tilt just right, maybe? I don't know, but like the moment I felt it, you could feel the difference. But that's cool looking. Forensic Gadgeteer. 2 and a blue for a creature, Vidalcan Artificer Detective. 2/3 when you cast an artifact spell, investigate. Activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. Ransom Note. 1 mana for an artifact clue. When it enters the battlefield, surveil 1. 2, sacrifice Ransom Note, choose 1, cloak the top card of your library, go target creature, or draw a card. Prof's Eidetic Memory. 1 and a blue for a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put a +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn, -1. Coveted Falcon. 1 and 2 blue for an artifact creature bird, so 1/4 flying. When it attacks, gain control of target permanent you own but don't control, disguised for 1 and a blue. When it's turned face up, target opponent gains control of any number of target permanents you control. Draw a card for each one they gain control of this way. Pretty Murder, and then that, and then normal commons and uncommons. But yeah, I instantly felt that difference. That was one of the secret ink sort of cards. I kind of wish they just made them UV light activatable, but I'm digressing. But yeah, I instantly felt the difference. I think I had my thumb right over some of the text. Another Thopter. Another Coveted Falcon, which we won't read. World Soul's Rage. X green and red for a sorcery. It deals X damage to any target. Put up to X lands from your hand and or graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. Duskana the Rage Mother. 2 red, green, and white for a legendary creature bear. It's a 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card for each creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2, and whenever a creature you control with base power and toughness 2/2 attacks, it gets +3 until end of turn. Bear Force 1 is online. Now in Naya. Drag the Canal. Blue and a black for an instant. Create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token. If a creature died this turn, you gain 2 life, surveil 2, then investigate. Kylox Visionary Inventor. 5 red and a blue for a legendary creature, Viashino Artificer. 4/4 with Menace, Ward 2, and Haste. When it attacks, sacrifice any number of other creatures. Then exile the top X cards of your library. X is their total power. You may cast any number of instant and or sorcery spells from among the exiled cards without paying their mana cost. Not on my watch. Unauthorized exit. Pretty plains. And then normal foil commons and uncommons. And the last pack. Alright, so we've got a detective. We've got a extended art, Drag the Canal. Ezram, Agency Chief. 1, 2 white and 2 blue for a legendary creature, Archon Detective. It's a 5/5 with flying. When does the battlefield, you investigate twice. 1, sacrifice an artifact. Ezram gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof until end of turn. Feather, Radiant Arbiter. Red and 2 white. Legendary creature, Angel, 4/3, flying and lifelink. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell that targets only Feather, you may choose any number of other creatures that spell could target and pay 2 for each of those creatures. If you do, for each of those creatures, copy that spell. That copy targets that creature. Outrageous Robbery, X and 2 black for an instant. Target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library face down. You may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. If you cast a spell this way, you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast it. Hedge Maze, the blue-green land. And we will flick through 2 demand answers. Nice. Pretty swamp and uncommons and commons. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, favorite, and subscribe. Unless it makes me happy to see that you're enjoying it. And I do this mostly for my entertainment. But if you are as well, please feel free to join me. You can follow me on Twitter, links are down below, and you can also find me at the Planeswalker Pantheon on Facebook. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.